Well, I want to welcome everybody to our RNCC meeting tonight. It's 7 o'clock, March 13th. Welcome everybody. Before we get rolling here, we have a few things. I wanted to mention a few things. One of them is that one of our e-board members is having a tough time right now, and ask you everybody to kind of say your prayers for Madeline-Law. She should be coming around shortly, but she did have a short hospital stay, so we want to keep her in our hearts and prayers. Also, if you have anybody in the Central Valley, you may want to give them a call. I know a lot of the towns in the Central Valley are being evacuated as we speak. My niece was asked to leave her house. She lives in Visalia, so you may want to get a hold of your loved ones here after the meeting or tomorrow. Make sure everybody's okay.
What is it? Sorry.
Floodwaters are rising.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And it is March, which is Women's History Month. So thank you, ladies, for showing up. So that being said, the meeting is recorded, and before COVID, we used to have our meetings in person, which we intend to do here, hopefully by the summer. And these meetings were, the RNCC meetings were designed so for neighborhood council representatives, presidents, and people on the e-board, so they could take the information back to their respective neighborhoods. So we wanted to mention that in case you don't get a chance to have your question answered. It's primarily meant for neighborhood councils, and you know, in respect for time, we may not be able to get to you. So I also need to mention that Jan is running the Zoom meeting. So if there's anything you need to share, EBMUD, I don't know if you got your, okay. It looks like you guys got it together. So anyway, I guess we could call the meeting to order. And Jan's going to help me, by the way, in case, because, you know, two-term president, she's shaking me under her wing and mentoring me. So we'll call the meeting to order, and we'll start with president's reports. So Jan, do you want to call the presidents out?
You can do it.
Okay.
I mean,
Well,
you just ask everybody where they're from. That's the best. And then if they have reports, give.
Well, do you want to do introductions before the president's reports?
Same difference.
Oh, okay. Well, let's do introductions then. Jan, you want to start? We'll start with you. Sure.
I'm Jan Mignoni. I'm the president of the North and East Neighborhood Council, and I'm the treasurer for the RNCC. We don't meet until the fourth Wednesday of the month, but we're kind of jazzed up. We want to get a group of people together, a committee. We have a lot of artists in the North and East, so we're trying to get them together to come up with some ideas for some art work projects we can do in different places in the neighborhood. It all started out because Clinton Hill used to have a fountain there when it was first built, and of course there's no fountain there anymore, but it's an area where we could put something that maybe a piece of art that would, you know, be great. So that's kind of where we are right now, is trying to get that all working.
Someone going by iPhone, would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm by iPad. Will that help?
Probably Rock.
It's Rock.
No, I'm right here.
iPhone,
Okay.
Rock.
What happened?
Your iPhone. That's all it says on your screen is iPhone. So you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I don't know how to change that.
That's okay. Go ahead.
Rock Brown, Sergeant Arms at the RNCC, and treasurer of the Richmond Heights, or excuse me, East Richmond Neighborhood Council. No report on. No report.
Okay. Danita Mitchell.
Danita Mitchell sitting in for Rita Johnson. She went out of town. Purchased the community center.
Thank you. Garland.
Garland Ellis, President of the Richmond Annex Neighborhood Council, also the PIO for the RNCC. We had a meeting in February and our next one is scheduled for April.
John Bauman.
Yeah, John Bauman, Vice President of the Castro Heights Neighborhood Association. Our next meeting is on the 18th of April. At this point, things are going well. Nothing else to report.
Dave Alvarado.
Dave Alvarado, Vice President of the West County Wastewater Board, and just here representing West County. Thank you.
Thank you. April.
April Roy, representing Hilltop Village neighborhood. And last week we had our first meeting of the year with our representative, Sohelia Bana, sort of give her our concerns and wish list for her for, her new role. So it was a very successful meeting.
Thank you. Ref Sanchez.
Just want to make sure I was unmuted. How you doing? My name is Ref Sanchez. I'm with Envirolutions Consulting. I'm here with my colleague, Juliana Gerber, and we are here to basically look for guidance. We are working on a project with the city of Richmond that has to do with a contract negotiation for the trash hauling service. And it's going to require a lot of input from the citizens. So we're just looking to get some guidance from you guys, since you're all basically, you represent each neighborhood in Richmond.
Thank you. Len.
I'm Lynn Terrio, and I am the, member at large of Marina Bay Neighborhood Council, and I have a lot to say about trash pickup around our area because we have a lot of multi-home places. We have townhouses, we have condos, and we get left out of a lot of stuff with Republic right now.
Okay, thank you. Bob and Khatri.
Hey, good evening, Bob and Khatri, President of the Hilltop District Neighborhood Council. We haven't had our meeting. We're waiting on Prologis to be available for our meeting. So we'll probably host our meeting next month. And I don't have anything else to report.
And for those of you that aren't aware, Prologis is the new owner of Hilltop Mall. So Bryce.
Hi, this is Bryce Haldeman. I'm representing Metro Square and Richmore Village. Nothing to report.
Carlos.
Hello, everyone. Carlos Castro, Construction and Maintenance Supervisor for the City of Richmond Streets Maintenance Division.
Okay, Dorothy.
Hi, I'm Dorothy Wall Stewart, and I am representing the Coronado Neighborhood Council, where Joe Fisher is our president. I don't have a report. There was a meeting this month. Unfortunately, I missed it due to a prior commitment, but I'm understanding that it was very well attended. It was held at Marty's Grill. I don't know if you all know where that is, on right across from the old post office on 10th and Nevin, or I guess they call it Harbor Way. I'm used to the old names, 10th and Nevin. And our guest speaker, she's actually a member of our community, was our new council person, Doria Robinson.
All right, E. Bashan.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Lieutenant Elizabeth Bashan. I represent the Northern District and also Richmond PD this evening. And I'll be providing crime stats for the cities, the districts, and a staffing report as well.
Thank you. Gabino.
Hello, my name is Gabino Redondo. I'm the interim executive director of the Richmond Housing Authority.
Thank you. Jim Hansen.
Good evening, everybody. Jim Hansen, President, East Richmond Neighborhood Council.
Okay. Josephine.
Good evening, Josephine Velasquez, Vice President of the May Valley Neighborhood Council and corresponding secretary of the RNCC. We had a meeting with the mayor and it was quite successful. It was a really good meeting, and if anybody is interested, it was recorded, so I'm happy to share the link.
Okay. Juliana, you were referenced earlier, but would you like to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. I'm Juliana Gerber. Yes, I'm working with Ref Sanchez. We are here at the request and invitation of the city of Richmond, and we'll speak further later about why we're here, but just happy to be here and just thank you all for your service to your city, first and foremost.
Thank you. Mona.
Hi, Mona Favorite Hill. I'm here from East Bay Mud. We'll have a presentation for you a little later in the meeting.
Thank you. Oscar. Mr. Garcia.
Sorry, muted. Hi, everyone. I'm Oscar Garcia from the Iron Triangle. Just a couple of quick updates. We co-sponsored a Black History Month event with CoBiz last month during Black History Month, and I wasn't able to make it due to conflict, but it turned out to be a very successful event from what I hear. And then going forward, we have a couple of events hopefully planned for Women's History Month, and so if anyone's interested in participating, please let me know and I can send you more details. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Roberta.
Good evening, everyone. This is Roberta Feliciano. I'm a senior planner with the city of Richmond, and I'll be providing a few updates when we get there. Thank you.
Thank you. Samantha Carr.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Samantha Carr. I'm the environmental manager in the Economic Development, Environmental and Health Initiatives Division. I'll be giving an update for the city manager's office this evening.
Stephanie Nye.
Hello, everyone. This is Stephanie Nye, City of Richmond Community Services Department, Recreation Division.
And then Susanna Coffey.
Hi, everyone. I'm Suzanne Coffey. I'm the treasurer for Santa Fe Neighborhood Council. We'll be having our meeting. It's our second meeting of the year. Next Thursday, we are meeting in person at Bridge Storage at 6:30. And so that's going good. On our January meeting, we had our district rep, Cesar Cepeda, came and visited with us. And we are, I'm getting back into the swing of things. Our next scheduled event is going to be on May 24th. We're reviving our pancake breakfast, which will be for the public. And we also host the 8th grade graduating class from Meestrom. So we're back at it.
Oh, great. And then is there anyone that didn't get a chance to introduce themselves? Feel free to speak up. That was only 25 people. So, okay, I guess we got them all. So I guess we're Garland, if you have some announcements you'd like to make.
Actually, I just have two. Both of them are surveys for the city of Richmond. The first one is a community survey, which will close March 15th. It's regarding the specific plan at Hilltop Regional Shopping Mall. And I'll put the link in the chat. Also, there is the green-blue survey, and this has been ongoing, and I'll put that also in the chat, the link for that. If you want more information, you can go to the city manager's report, and they have more links there to the specific plan and the different reports. So these links will be for the surveys.
Okay. I've also like to add that the Fairmead Hilltop Neighborhood Council with the Hilltop Community Church, we're going to put on a career fair May 20th. Last year we had 23 unions there. So if you know any graduating students or anybody that's looking for a career, not just a job, with mostly unions, The military will be there as well. Please feel free to reach out to me. I will put my name and number in the chat, and I'll be sending the city a flyer to pass out to everybody. So those are the our reports. So I guess we'll move on to staff reports. And do we have anybody here from the mayor's office? Okay. Public Works. Carlos.
Hello. Again, my name is Carlos Castro. I am the Construction and Maintenance Supervisor for the City of Richmond Streets Maintenance Division. Most of you already know me and know who I am. I added in the chat one of our new engineers, and then the other gentleman is the Deputy Director. Ken Chang is our new city engineer, or Robert Armio is our new Deputy Director. For new signage or speed hump request, you should email them first. That's where the process will get started, with an email to them. And then they will do their work. They'll be, corresponding with you for signatures. They correspond with us for placement, but everything goes through them. And then if the speed hump, if a new stop sign, if anything like that is approved, then they will issue the work order to us. And then that's when we take it over. I know that's been a main question for everybody, is how do we get speed humps on our block or new stop signs? So start with Ken or Robert, or email them both if you want. And then they will be working with you and forward it to us once everything is finalized. Other than that, I don't really have much in the way of updates. The rain has been killing us. If it's raining too hard, our sweepers won't sweep. We'll break them off and they'll be helping to fill sandbags. We've been filling potholes like crazy. The rain washes them back out. We go back out, we fill them. We're trying to basically band-aid everything we can until we get better weather. And then once the weather changes, we will be paving again. Sign Shop was able to start installing some pedestrian calming measures on Barrett between 37th and San Pablo Ave. There's some new signage there and some traffic markings there. But like I said, the rain has been putting us way behind schedule. We're still delivering sandbags to senior or disabled citizens. I'll put the number in the chat once I'm done, but you can call us. And if you're a senior citizen or disabled citizen, we will deliver sandbags to your address. If not, then there's 2 locations where you can fill sandbags. One is at the courtyard, which is located, the back gate, which is located on Harbor Way, close to the Greenway. The other location is at the Bayview Library on Hartnett Ave. There should be sand, a shovel, and sandbags at both locations. Like I said, not many more updates right now because of the weather, so I'm open for questions.
Any questions? Please feel free to raise your hand, your virtual hands, or Jan.
Sorry, unmute myself. Carlos.
Yes.
Stop sign and pole needed at 28th and at Clinton.
Is there one there already? It just got knocked down?
Yeah, it just kind of hanging out there. But since people don't follow the stop signs too well, let's get it back up and running, because that 28th is across street is the stop sign street. The other way is the other thing. That's all. It's the only thing I have at the moment.
Okay.
Anyone else? Any questions for Public Works? Going once, twice? Thank you, Carlos.
No problem. You
Enjoy
guys have
the
a good
game.
night.
You too. Bye-bye. Community Services is up next. Stephanie. There she is.
Hello, everybody. This is Stephanie Nye, Community Services Department Recreation Division, here to give you some updates. First, I just want to remind everybody again that in-person meetings can now resume at our community services facilities. So if there are neighborhood council meetings you wish to hold in our community centers, you may reserve them. And the same goes for the city council chambers as well. I also want to remind you all to submit your print job request to the general email neighborhoods@ci.richmond.ca.us. Please don't submit them directly to me since there are FOM, our part-time staff, is the main one working on those now. And I just back her up when she's not available. So please send it to that email address instead of to me, and I'll also post all this information that I'm going to be sharing in the chat after I'm done. We have a lot of new special events and programs available through the Recreation Division. The first that I want to announce is the citywide garage sale. We are coordinating the first annual or pilot citywide garage sale on Saturday, May 13th, 2023 from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. If you've ever heard of the garage sales taking place in City of El Cerrito or City of Alameda, this event will be very much like those. It's an opportunity to encourage residents to reuse and recycle and also just reduce clutter in their own homes. So how it works is that you just register your household for the garage sale. There is a fee of $10. And then the Recreation Division, we take all the information, we generate a map and a list of all the households holding their garage sale and publish this ahead of the event. And then on the day of the event, you just access the map and head to all the different locations throughout Richmond for the garage sale. And this event is going to be held the same day as City of El Cerritos and City of Albany's. So it'll be just one day of lots of shopping across these three cities that you can partake in. If you have any questions, you can reach out to our registration office. You can register in person or online, online through our website or in person at the Recreation Complex. Registration is now open and will remain open through April 14th. And I will post the link to the website in the chat as well. Recreation, we're also hiring for summer jobs. So recreation program aide, recreation specialists or leaders, I think, and lifeguards. So please visit the City of Richmond website if you know anyone who's interested in a summer job. We have spring break camp coming up from April 3rd through April 7th. So please contact registration office to register. In terms of special events, we have a bunch of them that I'm going to announce right now. So on Saturday, April 29th, we will have our annual Park Prescription Day at Nickel Park from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. On Wednesday, May 17th, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the auditorium, we'll be having the 39th Annual Senior Information and Health Fair. On April 1st, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., we will be hosting our annual Spring Egg Hunt in person at Nickel Park. We are also hosting a citywide youth track meet on May 27th at MLK Park, where youth can participate in events such as the 200-meter dash, javelin throwing, and long jumps. And there's a $5 entry fee for that. And we also just started hosting drop-in pickleball at the Recreation Complex on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays, and the price is $3 per person. So all of these events, if you'd like to find out more information, you could contact our registration office. And also please sign up for our Recreation e-newsletter, which is sent out twice a month. And I'm posting the link to sign up for that, as well as the registration information and everybody's information in the chat right now. And I'm happy to take any questions.
I have a question. I was curious, what are we defining for the track meet as youth? 18 and under or 21 and under? Or?
I think it's through, I have to look at the flyer, but I think it was like through 8th grade.
Eighth
this
grade.
Particular
Okay.
one. Give me one moment and I'll find it.
Sure.
In the meantime, if there are any other questions, I can post it in the chat if there are no other questions. So I'll take a second to find it.
Any other questions?
Yes, I have a question regarding the jobs. Is it for youth for the summer jobs? when she said they have job openings? Will that
It's
be
for,
the-
oh, go ahead.
Is that for the youth or for any age or?
It's targeted towards youth, but it's for any age.
Okay.
Mhm. And we also have like no experience required opportunities too. For any
Great.
age.
Anyone else? Going once, going twice. Women's History Month. Lucky you. Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Okay, I guess next we have Lieutenant Bashan.
Good evening, everybody. So I'm going to start out with the hiring update, and then we'll move into the crime stats citywide and also by district. So again, I just want to follow up with you all that our hiring is going very well. We're still obviously down, but we're making a lot of progress. Since December of 2022, we have hired a total of 23 personnel. That includes sworn and non-sworn. So there's civilians as well as officers in those numbers. In terms of police officers, we've hired 16 total, which is quite an accomplishment. We have 7 officers now, either in training or almost in training. One of them graduates the academy in 2 weeks, and 5 of those officers are currently in the field training program. We have 9 trainees that are on board. They are still in the academy. They're spread out through a few different academies just based on the timing and the academies that we could get them into. But we have several in the Oakland PD Academy, a couple in the Contra Costa County Academy, and there's a few that are on that are planning to go into an academy just to be determined at this point. So as you all know, I know you've been following the saga of our hiring journey. We're definitely making progress. We have 6 potential police officers in backgrounds. We still have 22 officer vacancies, but that's definitely down compared to some of the numbers I've presented to you guys in the past. So that's still a big number, but you know, we're making progress. We've recently hired 3 dispatchers. One of them starts on Monday, and we have 7 more openings, and the testing for dispatchers is beginning in about 2 weeks. We recently hired 2 new record specialists, which is very exciting. They're both excellent employees. One of them actually, a lot of us know from her work at the Family Justice Center downtown. So that's really great that we were able to bring her over. And then there's 2 more openings in records, and the interviews for that or those positions will be on Friday. Crime prevention, we have 1 person in background for that spot and 2 openings in parking. Unfortunately, I guess the last person that we offered the job to declined. But we're still making progress. And property vault, we have 1 opening, and we hired 1 administrative aide who works in the chief's office. So a lot of progress there. Injury wise, for officers, we have 8 currently out on injury leave, and 4 on either modified duty or another leave. And so that right there concludes my staffing numbers. Are there any questions about that before I move to the crime stats?
Apparently not.
All right, let's do it. Citywide. So for crime stats, I'll go down citywide and then I'll break it into districts. And as you all know, we switched format or reporting formats in January, so it's a little different, but the numbers in February that I'm going to give are comparable to the numbers in January. So they're the same format. It's just some of the categories are a little bit different. So citywide for the month of February, we had 0 homicides. We had 0 in January. We had 19 robberies in February compared to 31 in January. 61 assaults in February compared to 66 in January. 27 burglaries in February compared to 23 in January. Vehicle thefts, we had 66 in February compared to 102 in January. And then vehicle impounds, I know I don't normally mention this number, but I thought I would. We had 185 impounds in February compared to 205 in January. And then traffic collision reports, we had 41 in February compared to 95 in January. By district, I'll start out with the Southern District. 0 homicides for February and January. 5 robberies in February compared to 8 in January. 21 assaults in February compared to 20 in January. 8 burglaries in February and 9 in January. 22 vehicle thefts in the month of February and 31 in January. And then impounds for Southern District, 72 in February compared to 94 in January. And then 15 traffic collisions in February versus 17 in January. Central District, 0 homicides for both months. 7 robberies in February and also 7 in January. 14 assaults in February compared to 25 in January. 3 burglaries in February compared to 5 in January. 19 vehicle thefts compared to 26 in January. And then impounds, like vehicle tows, February in the Central District, we had 70 compared to 57 in January. And then traffic collisions in February, we had 8 compared to 17 in January. Northern District, 0 homicides both months. Robberies, we had 7 in February and 16 in January. 26 assaults in February compared to 21 in January. 16 burglaries compared in February compared to 9 in January. 25 vehicle thefts in February compared to 45 in January. And then vehicle impounds in the Northern District, we had 43 in February compared to 54 in January. And then crashes, 18 in February compared to 31 in January. So that concludes my presentation.
I have a question. Last year, we had a homicide at the top of my hill. I live on Loyola. We had one around the corner on Shane. We just had one last week in my neighborhood in Northern District, Fairmead Hilltop on Aberdeen. Is that anything that you can elaborate on at this time, or?
I can't give any specific updates regarding those cases. Yeah, I don't have any updates at this time.
Okay, I appreciate that. Jan.
First, I just wanted to say at the Sisters of Solidarity event that happened on Saturday, the event was all about women, of course, but there was a lot of towards the all our safety, our women in safety, in safety positions. And Lieutenant Bashan was there, along with a few other officers that weren't working at the moment, I'm sure. And some of the firefighters were there too. So it was nice to see them out and be, applauded. And I mean, we all do, but who knows about other people, but it was great to see that they were getting a response. I have a question for you. We have one parking enforcement person.
Well, we have 3 right now.
We have 3. Okay.
We do.
Question number 2. I have a car in the neighborhood that is parked kind of across the sidewalk at the driveway, but kind of on the on their lawn too. Is that PD or code enforcement? Or should I? It's parked across the sidewalk, so it's an issue with, that's my biggest issue.
Okay.
So you know what, but
if you could shoot me a photo of how it's parked, I could give you a
Sure
better
will.
answer. But if it is blocking a sidewalk, then PD can ticket it depending on, and maybe tow it as well, depending on what's going on. If it's totally on private property, then it would be code enforcement.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind
but
of this
yeah.
weird. You have to see. I'll send you a picture of
Okay.
it.
Yeah, send me a picture.
Not a problem. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Jan. I appreciate it. And thanks to everybody who was at the event on Saturday. It was just really nice to be able to talk to folks in a more relaxed environment than we normally get to. So it was nice.
Well, do we have any more questions? No? Well, thank you. Thank you for your presentation. We appreciate it. And I guess we'll see one of your officers at our neighborhood council meeting next week.
Yes.
I appreciate everything. Thank you.
Take care.
You too. So next from planning, we have maybe Roberta. That'd be my guess.
Thanks, Arto. Yes, I just have a couple of updates. One Garland already shared, which is for the Hilltop Horizon Specific Plan survey. We were outside of the Walmart on Saturday from 11:30 to 3:30. I saw Abraham. He was able to attend. And if anyone needs help with completing the survey, I'd be happy to do that. But you would just go to the link, and it's a Survey Monkey, so it should be simple enough to do, and I can put that in the chat. And then I also do want to remind everyone that for the Design Review Board and Historic Preservation Commission meetings, those are now only in person, not hybrid. For Planning Commission, it is going to be hybrid, but my understanding is that it's mostly in person with a few exceptions for hybrid. The Planning Commission meetings are in the council chambers, and I believe for the city council meeting last week, it was limited to the first 39 people, I want to say, because that's the number of chairs that are available with the distances. So that's just another reminder on the public meetings for Planning Commission, Design Review Board, and then Historic Preservation Commission. And if you have any planning related questions, maybe I can answer them.
Any questions? No? Jan's
I
shaking her head
have
no.
one. I have one.
Okay.
I was trying to get my little hand to come up, but I couldn't. I wanted to know how many ADUs is a homeowner allowed to have in one backyard?
That's a great question.
It's a very good question. So there have been a lot of different state laws. As of now, depending on the zone, a single family residence can have one junior accessory dwelling unit and one accessory dwelling unit. So that's two. Now, to be eligible for a JADU, it does need to be a conversion of a portion of the house, but that would include the garage. So you can convert the garage into a JADU, and then separate from that, you can also build a detached ADU in the backyard.
How many detached ADUs can you build in your backyard? Because I know someone with 3 in my neighborhood.
Okay, are they in a multifamily zone or a single family zone? If you tell me the address,
well, they used to be single family houses, but I don't know. I'm on South 18th Street. Is that a single? I mean, it's not an apartment. It wasn't an apartment.
What's the cross streets?
Between Ohio and Florida. I would call that a single family dwelling, but I don't know. Maybe that's changed.
So on South 18th and Ohio, on the side of the Richmond Greenway, those are all multi-family residential units.
It's not on that side.
Okay, which side is it on?
If it's between Ohio and Florida, it's on the side going toward Cutting.
Ohio and Florida. Okay. So that is a single family zone. However, the state law does supersede that zoning. So if they have a multi-family, then I believe they can have up to 3. If they already are, is it an apartment?
It is a house. It was a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house.
Oh, okay. Then they cannot have 3. And if they do, then you would call code enforcement.
Thank you.
Code enforcement would go out there and inspect it.
Yeah, they would
Roberta?
look at it, and then if they find the violation, then they would send the violation letter to the property owner.
So I wanted to ask, it used to be that ADUs were described as having their own plumbing and their own electricity, that they weren't just a tough shed, put up in somebody's backyard where people could live, that they actually had to have plumbing and electrical. Is that still the case?
They do need to have plumbing and electrical. Now, whether it's a separate meter, that's not required. They can be
Right.
connected to the main house.
So they can run an extension cord back there and.
No, they need to meet the building code, so they can't just run an extension cord. But I just
Okay.
mean that they can tie into, the sewer
Yeah.
of the main house line, and then they can tie into the electrical.
And that's exactly what qualifies as an ADU, right? It's not just a tough shed where,
No, yes, correct. It all needs
Okay.
to meet the building codes. It has to be on a concrete foundation.
right,
So it's not just a tough shed.
okay. Well, any other questions? No?
Arto, could I make a comment on the ADU?
Yes, please.
So just in case you know, please let anyone know who's considering building an ADU, you please check with East Bay MUD first. We have a lot of requirements, and you need to start with us rather than get to us in the middle of the process. So you would contact our new business office if you're considering building an ADU.
That's something I wasn't aware of. Were you, Roberta?
I knew that they needed to contact EBMUD, yes,
Okay.
because they're the ones who have to look at if there's enough capacity for their water.
Yeah, that stands to reason. Yeah.
Well, what if they
Uh,
build it and they haven't contacted East Bay MUD? What if they build 3 and they haven't had a permit? Does anything happen to them, or do they just, it's just too bad?
No,
And I
you
know
would-
you see probably a lot, and that's why I guess I'm kind of, if it sounds frustrated, I'm saying, once the barn is open and the horses are out, is there anything that your department can do with under state or county guidelines?
So again, you would contact code enforcement. They would do an inspection to investigate. If there are no permits, then they would send a notice of violation to the property owner, and we would go from there. But all of the ADUs do need to meet the building codes. They need to get all of their permits from planning, building, EBMUD. What's the PG&E? If they're in West County wastewater district, they would need their permit from there. If they're over 500 square feet, they need to pay for their school district fees.
Is there any way that you educate people about that before they start building them? Are there like workshops or people that go out and canvas in areas like mine that are becoming heavily populated with ADUs, and put something, even just a door knocker that says, before you start building an ADU, you need to do bloop, 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 because I don't think people know that. And I think, and I didn't know this until my neighbor on the next street sent me a picture and said, these people have 3 ADUs in their backyard. Because no one's, I know you don't have enough inspectors to check. So kind of maybe being proactive would save some of us from having to be reactive, and then there's nothing we can do.
Yeah, we do have a lot of handouts and information on the city's website about ADUs. I will say there are some people who subscribe to the idea of just doing it and then asking for forgiveness later. That part, we cannot really control, but again, what would happen is that you would contact code enforcement, and then the enforcement would happen that way.
Jan, you had a question? You're on mute.
Thank you, sorry. I think part of Dorothy's frustration is, will somebody tear down those other 2 that shouldn't be there? Is that ever gonna happen? Or do we just say, oh, they paid their permit, they're good to go? That's the part that frustrates us. I've been in Richmond a long time. I remember the fun that we had over the 4-foot front yard fence. Every person in my neighborhood that puts up a 6-foot fence, I call them in, and all that happens, I mean, if it was me, I'd have a saw and just cut it down to 4 foot and say, this is your fence. But no one ever does anything. All they do is come out and get money. And it becomes extremely frustrating because, and some of the excuses these people use are ridiculous. Oh, I want to protect my kids. No, you want your dog to run loose in the front of the house and scare everybody. It doesn't make sense. I've been here a long time. I know how, stuff goes on in here, and if we actually saw something happening, it would be great to know that they really did this instead of just moving it on. And I do have one question though. There's a company called Building ADUs or something. I guess they have a website. I saw their van on McBride today, and it made me think, do these people contact the city before they're out contacting people in the neighborhood? Do you have any idea?
I have no idea. I don't know that company. I don't know if they have. I wouldn't know how to know if they have, who they would contact.
Yeah, it might be something we just, as community members start to, investigate and, let people know this is not how it works.
Well, they have to be a licensed contractor, right?
Oh.
They have to be a licensed contractor in the city of Richmond, correct?
Yeah, are they actually building the ADUs? If they're doing construction work, they need to be a licensed contractor, yes.
Rock, you had a question?
Company does, or
right,
who they are.
Rock, you had a question?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I think a while back, two things big that happened was one, the prices of all of our houses went up so much that and then rent started going up so high that people did start getting more, that needed the money. It was so expensive, they started renting a lot more. That's when we started seeing more illegal ADUs. And then you add that to the fact that there was such a housing shortage that it was opportunity at the same time. That doesn't necessarily make it right to do illegal ADUs. But I think I'm just trying to say, I'd say that's when a lot of it started. And there is so many illegal ADUs right now, and we would have a lot of people probably on the street, or if they had to go out, not that we're going to boot everybody out, we'll go after the landlords. But I think that's a lot of the reason. There's so many illegal ADUs that, and if you said we have 3 code enforcement.
Yeah. Did you have a question?
How many police officers we have? Well, we can't even get, it's hard to get workers right now. So I think it's just, it's things we got to do. I agree that we don't, I'm not for the illegal ADUs, but it's going to take quite a bit to resolve this, in my opinion.
Did you have a question?
No, I just wanted to make a comment on that because the process, because it is such a big deal in our neighborhood, and now the state laws have changed a lot. So yeah. I get it with what the planner is saying. It's a big, there's such a process involved, and if you don't handle that process right, you're gonna end up with lawsuits and everything else. So yeah. It is something to think about.
Well, thank you for that. Are there any more questions for Roberta? No? Well, thank you for your time. And now we've learned more about ADUs than we've known in the past. So that's a plus. Thanks again for your time, Roberta. Great presentation.
Thank you, Roberta.
So is there anybody here from fire? No report from fire today? Okay, how about Samantha from the city manager's office? Are you still here, Samantha?
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me this evening. Again, my name is Samantha Carr. I'm the environmental manager in the Economic Development Department, Environmental and Health Initiatives Division. So I have a few items tonight. I just wanted to follow up on Garland's earlier announcement. The Green Blue New Deal survey is open, but will be closing tomorrow. So please complete and/or share this survey as soon as possible. Also following up with what Ref Sanchez mentioned earlier. So on July 19th, 2022, the Richmond City Council approved a contract with ARC3 Consulting Group, Inc., subcontractor Enviro Solutions, to provide an analysis and recommendations regarding the city's trash agreement, which will expire June 30th, 2025. So as part of this contract, a solid waste survey has been released and is now open for feedback. So now is the time for anyone living and or working in Richmond to complete the survey, memorialize all thoughts, comments, and suggestions about solid waste in Richmond. The city is receiving all of the feedback and we are ready. So we ask everyone to share the information. Do not feel obligated to share or complete the survey, but all information is appreciated, and definitely spreading the survey far and wide is also appreciated. So the responses will inform the city's approach as the collection services for trash, recycling, and organics are reviewed. The city's goal is to improve and promote sustainability, equity, and zero waste. The survey is available in English, Spanish, and Mandarin. I've updated the city's environmental page, so I'll post that in the chat a little bit later. The survey should take less than 15 minutes to complete, and all eligible participants who complete the survey will be entered into a random drawing where 15 participants will be selected to receive a $50 gift card. I do want to note the survey is being conducted by an independent research firm. Your information and identity will remain protected and private and will not be shared, sold, or used for any other purposes. Both Juliana Gerber and Ref Sanchez, who are here tonight, will be supporting and leading the outreach. The next item is that I know over the past month, there have been some smells in Richmond. We ask that all air quality complaints be submitted to BACMed, either through their online complaint form or by phone. The phone is a 24-hour toll-free hotline. I have it saved as a contact in my phone. And the number is 1-800-334-ODOR, which is 6367. I will also make sure to post that in the chat. Examples of complaints include dust or chemical air pollutants emitted by industrial plants, refineries, neighborhood businesses, gas station nozzles, idling trucks, locomotives and buses, smoke from agricultural fires, controlled burns, non-cooking backyard fires, and outdoor trash burning. Another item is that the Contra Costa County Health is transitioning its COVID response as local, state, and federal public health emergencies come to an end. The state and county level emergency public health declarations ended on February 28th, while the federal emergency declaration ends on May 11th. State testing sites and county-run COVID vaccination sites will be closing in March, so this month. While official health emergencies are going away, the county does recognize that COVID is not. Contra Costa Health will still be addressing COVID as part of their regular departmental operations in the future with a focus on equity. So 2 key dates is that March 4th is the last day of operations for the 2 remaining state test to treat sites in Pleasant Hill and Antioch. The county still offers free home test kits to anyone who needs them. You can get those through the online form or to call their center. Also, March 31st, the 3 county-run mass vaccination sites in Antioch, Concord, and Richmond will close. People can still get vaccines through their regular healthcare providers and local pharmacies. For more information, Contra Costa Health has an easy access care handout, and they also have a transition plan. I'll post the information in the chat, and I'll also post it on the city's environmental page. And then lastly, I wanted to add to Stephanie's event list. So Earth Day will be Saturday, April 22nd, and then Bike to Work Day will be Thursday, May 18th. Any questions?
I don't see any. Anybody have any questions? Well, I guess that was easy, huh?
Well,
Oh, there's one.
We'd like to elaborate a little. How can we, basically, we want to get the survey out. Do you guys have email lists for your individual neighborhoods that you can basically help us get the survey out with?
Actually, I can speak to that really quickly, Ref.
Okay,
So about a week ago, I sent out through your RNCC email list the survey inquiry about a week ago. And so I did receive some responses back from a few different districts. And then Samantha wanted to make sure to make this presentation tonight so that you all could be aware that we are doing this outreach and this community engagement so that you could verify that basically the survey that's going out is valid. And so that's why we're here tonight to make ourselves known and say hello. We want to have the surveys shared in the communities. And we also are looking for more condensed feedback, even by way of perhaps hosting a workshop at one of your community centers, or sometimes there's community rooms at some of the different housing complexes. So that's an idea too. So we could be pulling survey, your opinions and insight as kind of representatives of your districts and communities and neighborhoods, and also have a workshop where we're actually engaging some of your constituents and residents in your neighborhoods. So that's an idea. I can put my information into the chat, but I did send out an email about a week ago, and I'm happy to follow up with all of you again if you'd like. So just let me know.
Carla, do you have a question?
I was going to say, I haven't seen an email yet for the survey. If you could put that information in the chat, then probably a lot of us can send it out in our newsletters to our constituents.
I would love to do that. I'll go ahead
Wonderful.
and send the links to both Spanish, all three, English, Spanish, and Mandarin. And I know that Samantha did mention that she's going to post in the chat the City of Richmond, the Environmental Services page that also will have the link to the survey. So that information will be there as well. But I'll also put my contact information, and if you have further interest in working with Ref and I to host some sort of a workshop, we would be able to provide food, childcare, translation services, and things like that. So we're really here to really reach out and truly listen to what the opinions and insights are from the community on behalf of the city.
And I could tell you that some of those emails were not received very well. They were caught off guard, had no idea who you were and what the email was about. So I did contact the city and ask them, maybe next time you guys could let us know, the RNCC, and we can get the word out and help you get the word out. Because again, they were caught off guard and wondering what the heck is this about.
Yeah, I think that might be just a function of, there's a lot of work going on at the city of Richmond. And so we've been working triple time to try to make sure that we get everything out and into the community. So I apologize for that. But yeah, we're working more in concert with the city now. And I think we're all on the same page. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments or concerns? No? Well, I appreciate it. And thank you very much. And thanks for the introductions. And so thank you, Samantha. Great presentation. And I guess we'll just move on to Mona from East Bay MUD.
Well, first of all, I'd like to, thank you for having us tonight. And I would love to do the intro, but I have someone else who's going to do it for us. And our general manager, Clifford Chan, is on, and he will do the intro, and he will be followed by our finance director, Sophia Skoda. So Clifford.
Thank you, Mona. And I'm on a different computer, so I apologize that my camera is not working. But I'm Clifford Chan. I'm the general manager for East Bay MUD. I just wanted to share with the group first that on May 22nd, East Bay MUD is going to turn 100. And we're going to be celebrating our centennial with tours and talks and walks in the watershed in our neighborhoods, all year long, to discuss our history, the science of water, and the work that we do to support the community and to protect the environment. And I also hope that you can join us at our Centennial Community Fair on Sunday, May 21st at Lake Temescal Park in Oakland. But tonight we want to share with you how we're investing in the next 100 years. And as Mona mentioned, we have Sophia Skoda, our finance director, who has a short presentation to go over our budget and rates. So Sophia.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. And I think Mona's got the slide deck and we'll share it. But I'm Sophia Skoda. I've been at East Bay MUD for 17 years and excited to be a part of celebrating 100 years. And today I'll be talking a little bit about our upcoming budget and rates. We put together a budget every 2 years. And so this is the time in our cycle when we do that. And we, have the pleasure of going out and speaking with our ratepayers, basically all of you who pay your water and wastewater bills. In your case, you receive wastewater from the city of Richmond, but we serve 1.4 million people with water service and about 740,000 people with wastewater service. And we are celebrating 100 years, as General Manager Clifford Chan mentioned, which is kind of wild. And we're going to get into that. This is you know, kind of a generational budget. So moving on to the next slide. You know, we're celebrating a century of service, and we really see ourselves as you know, the entity, the one single entity that is you know, protecting the public's health, making sure that we have what we need in terms of water to support a vital economy, and protecting our precious resource, the environment, particularly the bay, but also the watershed lands that we stored. So we provide reliable, high quality drinking water. That is part of our mission. We are a steward of these natural resources that I talked about, and we really see ourselves as part of the community, that we're a community cornerstone. We are the reason why the West was able to serve, and particularly the Bay Area, as the shipbuilding engine that won World War II. If we had not done the planning and built Pardee Dam and built the aqueducts that you know, brought water into the East Bay, we would not have been able to serve in that historic capacity. And so with that, you know, as we're turning 100, there are things that I'll be talking about tonight that probably will come as not a surprise, but maybe something that you don't think about all the time. Next slide. So on our next slide, Mona, is this
Jan's doing the show.
just a little slow, a little glitchy? Okay, no worries. So on our next slide, this is just sort of a little brief snippet of the history of East Bay MUD. So created in 1923 by vote of East Bay residents. So before East Bay MUD, there were a whole host of other smaller water agencies that were serving all over the East Bay. I live in Berkeley, and when I'm walking around in the neighborhood, sometimes I see gate pop covers that say EBWC, which is East Bay Water Company. And that was one of the water companies that predated East Bay MUD. Now, these companies, in some cases, were actually competing. It wasn't like East Bay MUD is today, where we serve everyone that lives within the service area boundary. And so actually at that point, you know, if you were living somewhere in Oakland and, you know, were building your house, you could get 2 knocks on the door. Hey, you should go with us. We're better. We're cheaper. We're better. No. And that was, you know, the way things were 100 years ago. But what happened was the inability to be able to serve reliably, and the cost in other cases meant that these water systems just weren't able to sustain themselves. And so what happened in 1923 was that using a structure that had been created, I think in 1921, Clifford is the historian here, but using something that was called the MUD Act, the Municipal Utilities District Act, the East Bay voted to essentially create the East Bay Municipal Utility District. So with that kind of creation of that utility, Pardee, who was one of the governors of the state of early governors of the state of California, essentially, and was on our board of directors. You know, East Bay MUD kind of moved forward with building Pardee Reservoir, which is our reservoir that's analogous to Hetch Hetchy. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, we get our water from Hetch Hetchy. Nope, that's San Francisco and the peninsula. We have our very own Hetch Hetchy, thank you very much, and it's called Pardee. And we also, it's in the Sierra as well. And we dammed the McCullamy River, and that's how you pronounce that word, McCullamy. And we basically took that water that was coming out of the reservoir, put it into an aqueduct called the McCullamy Aqueduct. And we actually now have 3. There's McCullamy 1, McCullamy 2, and McCullamy 3. And that was completed in 1929, bringing that Sierra Nevada pristine water into the East Bay. The history of wastewater is a little bit murkier. Just kidding, I'm using that as a joke. But we started only serving wastewater service in 1951. And basically what happened was all of the cities had lines, as you might imagine, to collect wastewater that was coming from homes and businesses to kind of whisk it away. But it was just whisked straight into the bay with no treatment. And you can imagine how foul the smell was. And so we were asked again by a vote of the public to create an entity to treat that wastewater. And so we did build a plant, and that is located at the base of the Bay Bridge. When you're crossing over the Bay Bridge, you'll see it on your left-hand side. My dad is a little bit of a hoarder, and One day when we were sorting through some stuff, we found his tour of the treatment plant from 1960. So anyways, so we serve 1.4 million water customers and 740,000 wastewater customers. And that's a little bit about our history. Next slide. So as I said, this is really kind of a historic budget. We have, we've really benefited from the, the investment that was made by those that came before us. I had an opportunity a couple of years ago. I was out in the field with one of our crews in West Oakland, and I was looking at a pilot of a software that we now use all the time. And prior to that, I don't know if anyone remembers the old Thomas guides, or these big books, with all the maps. And this is before we all had maps on our phones. And we basically had, and we still have, the equivalent of these huge books that, show every single pipe, every valve, every single piece of our system that interacts with our side and your side, so that when there's a leak or something happens, somebody runs into a piece of equipment or whatever, we can go out there and we know what we're dealing with. And so we were looking at this new software that we now use, and I said, okay, tell me about this. It says CI 93. What does that mean? And so the person that was managing that particular group said, well, CI is cast iron, and that's pretty typical for older pipes. And they said that 93, yeah, that's not 1993. Yeah. So in other words, we are still using, in many cases, in the oldest parts of our service area, pipes that date from the 1800s. And it is now 2023. So this is time for us to make the investments in aging infrastructure that have been needed for some time. And we've certainly picked up the pace the last couple of years, but the need is still there. And so this budget is part of what allows us to kind of say, hey, listen, it's time for us to really make the investments that we need to enter this next century of service. So in addition to aging infrastructure, we have all been experiencing climate change. So the droughts, floods, and fires mean that our planning is very different than it was, several decades ago. The water quality differences that we have to be able to deal with at our treatment plants, the quantities of water that we have to manage at the wastewater plant, and at our dam facilities, very different. The fires that have resulted in very different water quality as well, and droughts, as you might imagine. Different water supplies are different than the pristine McCollum source that we primarily depend on, and we have to be able to deal with that. So along with all of those issues, there's the issue of emerging contaminants. Many of you have heard of PFAS. Those are the types of issues that we have to deal with, both in the water supply, potentially not as much, but in the wastewater that we receive at the plant, definitely. Nutrients are another issue. Many of you will have seen on the news the fish kills that the Bay experienced and Lake Merritt experienced less than a year ago. And all that had to do with nutrients. And we are a discharger to the Bay, along with all of the other POTWs, publicly owned treatment works. And so we are going to have to figure out how to manage nutrients and how to do that on a cost-effective basis, because that's not inexpensive. We have to deal with changing regulations, and many of those are good, and we're pleased to be able to do that, but there's certainly a cost. And then, I think everybody on this call will be able to relate to the inflationary cost pressures that we have faced. Equipment, energy, chemicals, labor. Anyone that's done any kind of work on their home knows that it's expensive to do construction and to do the kind of work that we do. And we basically are a construction firm. We construct infrastructure, and then we operate and maintain it. Next slide. So again, this generational investment, we are entering the most capital intensive period in our entire history. Our 5-year capital improvement program, we call that a CIP in our lingo, is more than $500 million more than the prior 5 years. So that's up 24%, significant. During the pandemic, we did have more moderate rate increases because everyone was in a very, challenging sort of place, not knowing what would come. And so we did what we needed to do. A phrase that one of my colleagues likes to use is, our rates are as low as good service will allow. And I like that phrase because it's true. So our rate increases in FY 24-25 do accelerate investment in our water system to enable us to continue to be resilient and reliable. And on the wastewater side, to start moving into the future, having last made the last huge investment in the 50s. And so in terms of what that impact is going to look like, two things. One, 50% of the homes in our area pay less than $2.50 a day for our water service. So, maybe, someone at their household is waking up in the morning, someone's taking a shower, someone's making a pot of coffee, someone else is watering the flowers, someone throws a load of laundry in, and all of this before anyone's going to work or school, all of that, and then the rest of the day for $2.50 or less for our average or 50% of our families, actually more than 50% of our families. And so in terms of the rate increases that have been proposed are on the order of about 20 cents a day for the first year, and then an additional 20 cents a day in the second year. So that's what that looks like. At a recent presentation that we made, General Manager Clifford Chan had gone to the grocery store to buy, specifically for the purposes of show and tell, a bottle of Smart Water, $2.99 for a small little container of water and plastic. And for that same cost at East Bay Mud, that customer would receive 300 gallons of water. So as Clifford said, we think we're smart water. We don't think that's smart water. Next slide. So in terms of what's driving our rates, again, capital investments are really the main driver. And then we've seen more than 90% increases in some of the cases of certain chemicals that we used in our treatment process, up to 50% increases in energy. We certainly benefit as well from the energy prices because we generate hydroelectric energy through our dam faces. We have got two facilities, both at Party and Comanche is our reservoir that serves our environmental needs on the river. And then we also produce energy through methane generation, capture, and reuse at our wastewater treatment plant. And we are a net producer of energy at that wastewater plant. First wastewater plant in North America to achieve that status. Software prices, continue to rise, and labor prices also continue to rise in the face of inflation. Next slide. We see ourselves as responsible financial stewards. We are a not-for-profit public agency. A lot of people say, oh, you guys are like PG&E. And I say, well, not really, because PG&E has shareholders who have to receive a profit. There's no profit. If we receive more revenue than we need to manage our budgetary needs, that just goes to offset a future rate increase or goes right into the bottom line of capital, which is the work that we do. In terms of, is anyone kind of looking over our shoulder or able to give kind of an independent analysis, aside from an annual audit, of course, which we do, we are the only California water utility that has Moody's Investor Service highest AAA water bond rating. We also hold a AAA rating from Standard & Poor's, but there are other Western agencies that do. We are the only agency that holds that rating from Moody's. Next slide. So in terms of our budget process, I mentioned that we're in the midst of our 2-year budget. We had our first budget workshop in January, and our second budget workshop is in about 2 weeks. So this is the time to get involved if you're interested. We'll be holding that budget workshop 2 on the morning of March the 28th. And then we will be pending kind of board discussion and any kind of input in April, sending out a Proposition 218 notice. Proposition 218 was voted on by voters in 1997, became part of the California Constitution, Articles 13 C and D. It says no one may charge more than the cost of service for property-related fees and charges. So we comply with that, and all of our rate studies are posted. And we put together a general manager's report and recommendations that will be released to the public on the current schedule, May the 9th. And then there'll be a public hearing on June the 13th. If 50% of the voters in our area, and a voter in our case can be a property owner or can be a tenant that lives at an address, submit protests, then that rate increase wouldn't go into effect. But assuming that doesn't happen, July 1 is the date that those rates, fees, and charges go into effect. You may have heard that we had a drought surcharge that was pulled off of bills on March 1. It'll be kind of prorating off. So unless your bill cycle was kind of an older bill cycle, you may see some of the legacy of that kind of as it rolls its way through. But by June, those should all be off of the books. And we were able to pull that drought surcharge off because of the excellent winter that we've had that enables us essentially to get ourselves out of drought operating mode, which is when we have to buy additional water supplies, which require additional treatment, all of those types of things. Next slide. So this is just a graphic that shows your water rate dollar and what it breaks down into. So as I've said several times already, we really are a constructor. We build infrastructure and we operate it. So you can see here 52 cents infrastructure improvements, about 30 cents water service, and then we've got a little bit there for administration, customer service, natural resources management, and regulatory compliance. So each dollar roughly is broken out in this particular way. Next slide. On the wastewater side, oh, sorry, back one. I apologize, Mona. Oh, is that right? Okay, next slide. Which one is it? Okay, water system investments. So again, over the next 5 years, we're going to be making an investment of $2.5 billion. We'll be replacing, we're projecting 127 miles of pipeline. So these are many of them, some of the older pipe in our system, but really we're looking for the leakiest pipe. That's what we're looking for, because we want to be smart. If a pipe from 1860 is still working well, great, then we don't want to replace it, but we want to replace the right pipe, and we want to make sure that we're doing it in a way that works. And so that's the projection of where what we're going to be doing. We grade the pipe, and so it goes from A to F. So brand new pipes in A, as you might imagine, and an F is one that's failed several times. And so the idea is hopefully that we're either replacing pipe that's failed several times or identifying leaks before they become too big or cause any property damage. Other major projects include work on our water treatment plants. We're going to be spending almost $500 million on Orinda and Upper San Leandro. We did receive some federal grant money for Upper San Leandro. Vice President Kamala Harris visited our facility and did essentially arrange for an earmark, which was supported by our local legislators. So thank you to those of you who vote. Lafayette Reservoir Outlet Tower Seismic Retrofit. That's another project that's in the works, and Sobrante Water Treatment Plant will also be seeing some improvements. We do have a schedule to improve neighborhood reservoirs and pumping plants. One thing that I would say that's sort of interesting, at least in my view, is more than 50% of our homes are actually served by gravity, and so don't require pumping. We just have enough head from the reservoir to be able to serve them by gravity, which is incredibly low carbon water. Now, for those homes that are a little bit at elevation, we essentially charge an elevation surcharge, and that elevation surcharge is only paid by those that are living at elevation, so that they can directly pay for the cost of the facilities and the energy that's required to pump water to them, and that we're not spreading that out over everyone else. Next slide. So the same breakdown, thank you, Mona. Wastewater rate dollar at work. You can see about 40 cents on the wastewater treatment side, and about 40 cents on the infrastructure improvement side, so a little more equal in this case, and then 12 cents on environmental and regulatory compliance, with a couple of cents for administration and customer service. Next slide. In terms of our wastewater system investments, we're going to be doing work on rehabilitating our major interceptors. So Richmond isn't an area that we provide wastewater, but just for interest. So City of Berkeley, City of Oakland, Piedmont, they all own the lines that after it comes out of your home or someone's home that lives in those particular cities. And then it goes all the way down until it hits essentially our large interceptors, where we sort of gather it all at the very end and bring it into our facility, our treatment plant. And this is a bird's eye view of our treatment plant as you're kind of looking across the Bay Bridge. We're going to be doing some rehabilitation work of our secondary reactors and clarifiers, doing work on our influent pump station, which is the big pumps when it comes right in to the treatment plant from the interceptors, and then doing some other work on nutrient removal, our dewatering building. So that's, we take sludge after we've harvested the methane, these ancient bacteria, methanogens, produce their methane, and then essentially there's the dead cell bodies and other material that isn't going to be producing methane, and so we have to dewater it. It's very sludgy, and we don't want to haul off too much water, because that's bad, because it's trucks on the road that don't need to be there. So in the dewatering facility, we use a a little material that's the same material that is used in diapers. And in fact, it was used in wastewater treatment first. And so when the diaper industry realized it, our costs went up significantly, but that's okay. Seismic retrofit of our buildings at the plant is also a part of our investment that's planned here. Next slide. So in terms of our particular service area, we're in an interesting place. So I've said it's very expensive to do work here and that our costs are significant to do this important infrastructure work. Now we're in a place where 25% of the homes in our service area make $200,000 or more as a household income, and 25% of the households in our service area make less than $50,000 a year. So how do we make sure that we're a good neighbor, doing what we need to do, keeping rates as low as good service allows, but also making sure that folks can pay their bills? Well, we have what we understand to be the oldest customer assistance program, more than 35 years old, to support folks who need help paying their water bills and wastewater bills. We have those bills, they can be reduced up to 50%. The amount of water is based on the number of people in the household, and wastewater bill can be reduced up to 35 cents. So while of course we believe that our drinking water remains an excellent value at just over a penny a gallon, we understand that there are folks that struggle to pay, and so we want to help. And so I think on the next slide, it's going to show a QR code. You can take a picture of it with your phone. Please pass it on to anyone that you know that you think could possibly need assistance paying their water bill. We're here to help. We have a very generous program with pretty generous income levels. So I would encourage you to take a picture or a screen capture and send this to anyone that you know. Water Lifeline is the name of the program. Next slide. So I guess in closing, just want to say that we see ourselves as a community partner along with you. We're dedicated to serving the East Bay. We've been here 100 years. We want to be here the next 100. We work here, we live here, we play here. On the left, we've got folks who are, on one of our job sites, and on our right, those are employees participating in a bay cleanup that we do every year as part of our wastewater kind of community activities. So with that, I would be happy to take any questions, and Mona and Clifford Chan are here as well. And I think between the three of us, I think we can answer most of the questions that you'll have, hopefully. And if not, we'll get back to you.
I want to say thank you. Jan was running the show, so thank you, Jan.
Oh, Jan, thank you.
Sorry, my finger I was writing something down that you said, and at the same, I'm like, oh, gotta move to change the thing. I'm getting better at this, let me tell you.
So do we have any questions? Any questions at all about the rate hikes? Any questions about the savings, the QR code? Wow, I'm surprised. Well, I guess you guys got off easy. Is there anything in the chat?
Well, you know what? Maybe I stunned you into silence with too much information, but I do want to say we want to answer questions. So Mona is in touch, and so please, feel free to reach out through Mona, and we will get back to you. I promise. I love this stuff. I love having the opportunity to come and speak with our ratepayers about, the value that I believe that we provide, and to answer questions and to provide links to resources. Again, if you want to be in touch with folks in water conservation, we have an amazing award-winning team. They want to help you if you are concerned about your water use. This is a really amazing organization, and we're here to serve, and we want you to ask us questions and take advantage of everything that we have available. So thank you very much. Thank you for paying your water and wastewater bills.
Yeah, and maybe Sophia, maybe I'll just quickly add, I do encourage everybody to go on our website and look at our customer assistance program. We do have very high thresholds for qualification. So you may actually be qualified, even though you think you're not qualified. And we do offer a discount, as Sophia mentioned, 50% off your water up to 1,050 gallons per person per month. So high threshold, and a reasonable amount of water use per person.
Can you repeat that name again?
Oh.
What was that?
Can you repeat that name again? Where the website?
It's if you just go to EBMUD.com and then /customers. you will find our customer assistance program.
Thank you.
Can I ask
Someone
a
had a
question?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know how to, I can't find the hand raiser. Sorry. My name is Rita Midas. I'm the MBNC president, and thanks for the presentation. Yeah, there was a lot of information you shared. It sounds like you've been doing this a long time. So with all of the reservoirs filled now, and you talk about a rate hike, and are we going to see rate hikes soon, or will we see it? Oh, you're shaking your head. So even though the reservoirs are filled, no rebates, no discount back to the consumer.
Yes. So let me explain. So our costs are largely fixed. Our costs are the cost of the infrastructure, and then and labor to operate essentially our system, to be able to come out and read meters, to fix things that are broken, all of that. So it's really building infrastructure and then operating and maintaining it. So 90% of our costs are fixed, and so the amount of water is actually like the amount that varies of our cost is less than 10%. And the fact that we have water does mean that the drought surcharge is lifted. So in other words, that 8% that you were seeing on your bills on the volume portion, that got pulled off on March 1st. So you will no longer be seeing that. So yes, we are going to be having a rate hike. And I think I had said it was about 20 cents a day is what the average customer is going to expect to see on their bill. So that would be about $6 over the course of the month in the first year, and similar in the second year. But that drought surcharge has been lifted. Clifford, do you want to add anything to that?
No, I mean, again, with the reservoirs full, we still have to, keep, like Sophia said, all of our infrastructure in place. The only time we charge you for the water itself is if we have to buy it for a drought. Otherwise, it's stored in our reservoirs, but we still have to maintain all that infrastructure.
I'm okay, and I see there's other people with raised hands.
There are.
One more question, if I could just ask one more question. How do we know, and you may have touched on this, and I'm sorry if I missed it, but
no problem.
How do we know as a consumer what the quality of our water is? We've got a lot of bad pipes, corroded, and a lot of those charges are being passed back onto the consumer. And so a lot of, and we don't own those pipes. So can you just elaborate a little bit about that, and where we would be able to, how can we even test the quality of our water?
Yeah.
And how do we rate in comparison to other cities?
Yeah, so I would say, I mean, we do tens of thousands of water quality tests every year in all parts of our service area. So really throughout the distribution system. And we set goals that are even more stringent than both the state and the federal government requires. And you can find all that information on our website with the water quality information. Now, the one chemical that a lot of people are concerned about you might hear about is lead. We have no lead in our system. We removed all the lead materials in our system back in the 90s. But people often have older fixtures that have higher lead content. So if you would like, you can go on our website and request a free lead test, and we will send it to you, and you can collect a sample and send it in to get the analysis on your water. If you end up with a higher result, our staff will contact you and work with you to find where the source of the lead is in your home to help you address those issues. But again, we collect tens of thousands of samples every year to make sure your water is safe.
Thank you. Gambino, you have a question?
Yeah, does your agency have those drought tolerant programs, like if you want to shift your lawn to save water?
Yes,
we do. We offer up to $2.50 per square foot if you want to change out your lawn for drought tolerant plants.
So those programs won't leave because there's water now. Or
no, those programs are here whether there's water, whether we're in a drought or not. We always want people to save water.
Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Garland. You're on mute. You're on mute, Garland.
The water that comes into the Richmond El Cerrito area, does it go through Barones and San Pablo Dam reservoirs? And is there any water that's drawn out of the delta that comes to our area?
We take no water straight out of the delta. The water that goes into the Richmond area, it depends on the time of the year. It could come from Pardee, it could come from Briones, it could also come from San Pablo Reservoir. It just depends on the time of the year and which facilities are in service. But I would say, you know, generally speaking, in the wintertime, spring and fall, you're getting it from Pardee or Briones, mostly Pardee. And in the summertime, when the demands are really high, you may get some water from San Pablo Reservoir, but we do not take water out of the delta.
Okay, Jan?
Yeah, I just wanted, Clifford, you said there going to be an event at Temescal on May 21st. What are the hours?
Mona, I think it's 10 to 4, is that right?
11 to 4.
11 to 4.
Okay. Thank
It's
you.
free.
Thank you.
Are there any more questions? Well, thank you very much. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week at our neighborhood council meeting. Thanks again. Great presentation. We learned a lot. So I guess we'll move on to what, old business?
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. It was a pleasure to be here. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Thank you. Ref and I are also going to hop off, and we hope to work with you soon on this survey and engagement. Thanks for hosting.
Yes,
Oh, you're
thank you very
welcome.
much.
Thank you.
Hopefully we'll be in touch. Thank you.
That sounds good. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Take care.
Bye-bye. So old business, the annual dues. We're hoping that everybody's getting their dues in for the RNCC. Is there anybody else that has anything for old business? Cordell. Old business or new business? Your hands up.
Can you hear my? No, I
Yes.
have some new business.
Okay.
So I had to,
Hang on
yes,
a
can you hear
second.
my
Is there
voice?
anybody that has any old business? We can, okay.
Well, just,
Oh, Jan?
we sent out the dues and the paperwork with the agenda. So if anybody needs another copy or something else, just let us know and we'll get it out to you.
Okay, I guess we're on to new business then. Cordell?
yes. So I forgot to introduce myself earlier, so I apologize for coming on late. So I'm Cordell Handler with the Park Plaza Neighborhood Council and Point Richmond Neighborhood Council. So I do have an update from the group. So at our last meeting, we had quite a bit of a turnout. We had about 51 people on the call because we had the principal from Washington Elementary and the PTA president to give us an update on what's going on with Washington Elementary. So it was pretty good turnout. So all in all, it was great. So our next meeting is going to be March 29th, so 7:30 via Zoom. And then
That's for which neighborhood?
Point Richmond Neighborhood Council.
Okay.
And then the other new business I had was if you recall last month I did made a suggestion, to invite the executive director to come to talk to us about what the California Alliance for Retired Americans is about. So I was in a meeting with them earlier this morning. So I told them that I said that I would talk with the RNCC board to see to consider inviting them to come for like a future meeting.
Absolutely. I know Michael Nye and I spoke to him earlier as well. And yeah, I'd like to run that past the e-board and perhaps have them do a presentation. There's a lot of us that are retired, so. Anything else?
That's pretty much it.
Okay,
thank you. Jan, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I just wanted to let people know that at our April meeting, we will have the City of Richmond Finance about the budget come, so make sure everybody gets that information out. That's always they do the budget in June, but if we get having them come to see us in April and having questions to ask them, it's really important that we, know what's going on. And the only other thing, don't know if it's new business or not. I don't know how many people know that the city's talking about doing a public bank. But now that two banks have, basically caused big problems, I think we all need to really, really make sure they know what they're doing. Because, you can't expect the government to bail everybody out, and two banks within a week, that's not good. So we need to be proactive on something like that.
Yeah. Also, I was going to mention, I hope everybody that was interested in the Love Your Block grant got their grants in on time. And I was going to say hello to Naomi. I see she joined us a little bit late. If you want to introduce yourself, and do you have any updates from your neighborhood, Naomi, or for Madeline?
No, Madeline is still in the hospital. Her daughter says that they're waiting on to get a place for rehabilitation for her as soon as she started getting a little better. But something is going wrong with her stomach. So they don't know. She don't really know what she's going to do. So I cut back from going to see her so she wouldn't have so many people up there. So she could have one less person up there anyway.
Okay. So, any updates from your neighborhood council meetings? Or
no, we have our meeting every other month, so we'll have another one next month in April.
Okay.
But I have a suggestion. We're always looking for visitors to come to see us. And I just thought about something. We have no way to get out of this city if anything goes on. So maybe we can invite the police department and the fire department and maybe planning if they're involved with moving us around. So if we ever have to get out of Richmond, we'll know which direction to go in and, and what streets to stay off of if we need that. Hopefully, please God, we won't ever need it, but we still don't have a way to go. And I've been here for over 45 years and they still haven't found a place for us to go.
At one time they had an emergency preparedness program, but it fell short, and there really isn't anything in the event of a catastrophic emergency. So that's definitely a topic we should all be concerned with. So
Arto, so we actually do, now that we have Zone Haven, I know we talked about it. I don't know if it was on the phone or in one of the meetings, but the city of Richmond actually purchased Zone Haven. Zone Haven is if I'm not mistaken, it's a nationwide program, but I know it's definitely in California, and it specializes in obviously wildfires, but it's also, it's not us who are going to be deciding something happened, which way should we go. It's actually the police department's responsibility pursuant to California law. They're the ones that would have the evacuation plans in place. So it would probably be a good idea to find out what the police department uses or how they determine evacuation routes versus Zone Haven, and how much influence is it going to be. Will Zone Haven be able to evacuate us in an earthquake, or will the RPD, what will the RPD use to evacuate us in the event of a wildfire? If
Thank
it's
you
not
for that. Right. Thank you for that. And like I said, this is a conversation for all of us to have at a different time. We won't be able to resolve it tonight, but I see there's another question up.
Yeah, hi, it's Rita again. So I wanted to just expand a little bit on that emergency program. So we just had our quarterly council meeting, and Karen Fenton was one of the neighbors who joined the meeting. She's the head of the Marina Bay CERT. So I know you guys, I mean, there are a number of, I believe, neighborhood associations that are part of CERT. So here in Marina Bay, we would be pretty much out of luck in terms of, trying to get help or anybody in and out of Marina Bay. So there is a program, or I say a group of people that have put together some programs, emergency programs, and she's going to start a newsletter. So anyway, it's probably, I agree with Arto. I think that it would be really helpful if all of us, maybe shared information about if you have any type of neighborhood association, a group that, is sponsoring an emergency evacuation plan in your neighborhood, to share that with everybody, and maybe we post it or something, but compiling the information, I think, is very helpful.
Thank you. Cordell, you have a comment, question?
Yes, that was the other thing I forgot to mention. Actually, the two things. So one, I'm so glad that the RNCC is going to do hybrid, because I find it to be very helpful, because that way I can participate even though I'm not in the room physically. So I do like that idea. But the big announcement is that that everyone is invited to the Point Richmond Business Association luncheon on March 29th from 11:30 a.m. to 1 o'clock at Hotel Mac. So put that on your calendar. And our speaker for that meeting will be Eduardo Martinez, who will be giving us a presentation on what's going on with the city. So it's only $20, and lunch is provided too. So that's it.
What was that date and time again?
March 29th, 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Hotel Mac.
Okay, sounds good. Anybody else with some new business before we adjourn the meeting? No? Well, thank you, everybody.
What? Just
Oh, boy.
when that set up? Did anybody tell you about Sisters in Solidarity meeting on Saturday?
Yeah, it was mentioned, and Jan was actually there.
Oh, yeah, I know she was there. Okay, as long as
Well,
somebody.
you could, I mean, you.
I'm not gonna blow my own horn.
Come on, you can.
Naomi and Myrtle Braxton were both honored as community activists.
Lifetime.
Well,
Did you hear that?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good job. You earned it, both of you.
Queen of Richmond.
That's right.
I have a question.
Queen of Richmond.
Jan?
I said Lynn has a question. She has her hand up.
Yeah, I can't figure out how to get my hand up.
I couldn't see her.
Yeah. When we were talking about the contract with a waste, it went right by me because I thought they were going to do a presentation. And I don't have the address for where to fill out the form or to whom to send it. We have a terrible problem in Marina Bay, and I'm sure there are other places like Hilltop that have the same problem. Is nothing happens on our we don't get the perks that other places get because we live in a community that is larger than 4 or 5 people, and it's a major problem because we pay many extra dollars just to get a dumpster once a year. But I passed that up because I didn't realize that was the end of the discussion. So if you would please put it in the chat so we would have it.
It's already in the chat.
I don't see it.
It's
I actually got it, Lynn.
Did you get it? It's Julie Gerber and I forgot the guy's name. Ref something, but it's in here. Yeah, it's in the chat, and I can send out their email information tomorrow.
Also, yeah, that would be great because
we can send you the link to the solid waste survey. They sent out this survey that said solid waste. And
I see it.
Disavow.
Okay. I see it now. It says SC solid waste. Okay,
yeah.
I've got it. You
and
don't
also,
have to worry.
Also, there's a dumpster day this year, so you'll probably have a dumpster day in your neighborhood. I'm not sure what neighborhood you're in, but I'm looking at the
Yes,
schedule.
we did have one in Marina Bay and we had 2 dumpsters, but we're talking about, I'm 82 years old. I would like to not have to worry about taking something large somewhere.
They'll
and
come to your house.
They won't.
Yeah,
No,
no,
They will
Lynn,
for
they
the dumpster
actually,
day.
yeah,
but-
actually, Lynn, for dumpster day last year, they actually did go into the associations and pick up. I had them pick up. They were fantastic. I had them pick up from 2 elderly residents in the community. And yeah, so they were great. I mean, I don't know if it's on their list of things to do, but they were very kind to do it.
That's fine, Rita. The only problem is that when we get a dumpster, well, first of all, when we get a dumpster, we get it for 3 days.
No, this is a
means
different,
that
this is
if
the
I'm not
thing.
This is a different program.
It's a totally different program. The city
Oh,
of
I
Richmond,
understand that, but if I'm not home, they can't come to my house.
No,
And
that's why you have to
that's the
prepare for
problem.
it.
but Lynn, the
Anyway.
issue, the way they do it is you'll know in advance. They'll have postcards that go to everybody in your neighborhood. They give you a number to call. As long as you call them the Wednesday before dumpster day, that Friday is when they pick up, not on the same day as the dumpster day.
Right.
It will, I don't know if they're on the list. You should be on the list. There's 32 neighborhoods, I believe.
We're on the list, Jan. We're
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
list.
Got
And they
it.
actually come into like I said, they come into the association and they will even pick it up from your garage. So you
Right.
just
Well,
open up
we
the
have
garage.
no garages. We
Yeah.
have no way, and I'm not home every day, so it becomes a major problem. And in order to do it, we end up having to rent a dumpster. And
Well-
it's just an annoyance.
Well, we'll try and figure something out
Not
for you.
for us, because we need it. It's
Yeah.
not an annoyance for us.
It's an annoyance to not to have a dumpster day, but to not have much in the way of picking up because we're considered commercial.
Well, thank you for that. So I want to thank
I'll
everybody
fill
for
in the
coming.
Survey Monkey and then I'll be done with it. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. That being said, I guess we're done here for tonight, and I appreciate everybody coming and join us again next month. So thanks again.
I'm sorry I'm late. I didn't change my clock.
Well, you're probably looking at your award. Thank you,
Arto,
Naomi. Yes.
Arto, can you just adjourn with the time so that it's on the recording?
Yeah.
you.
I believe it's now 8:53. So appreciate everybody. It's 8:53.
That's
All right,
good.
good night.
Thank you.
Good night,
Good
all.
night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, Jan.
Good night, Naomi.
Good night.